So Zebec actually got acknowledged yet again. What do I mean by this, even though nothing I say is financial advice? Well, first of all, in my previous video, I already talked about World Liberty's USD1 being basically supported on the Zebec Super App. We already know that, right? But then World Liberty actually made a post about it, and they did it very quickly because when I take a look at Zebec having a partnership with Stellar, initially Stellar didn't make a post about it, which I thought was kind of bizarre, but eventually they did. But when I take a look at World Liberty mentioning Zebec that quickly after, again, the news came out that USD1 was basically supported on the Zebec Super App, I think that right there showcases how seriously they treat Zebec as a partner, because other projects out there, sometimes they like to play it cool a little bit. They don't really want to announce things, but usually when they do, and usually when they do it pretty quickly, I think it showcases the serious nature of a partnership like that, or just how serious that milestone is, generally speaking. It doesn't even have anything necessarily just only tied to Zebec and World Liberty, but generally speaking, usually when a project announces a partnership, especially very quickly, I think it showcases the serious nature of that partnership. Now, in some other cases, maybe like Stellar, maybe they want to play it cool a little bit, to each their own. But when I take a look at, again, World Liberty mentioning Zebec, I think that right there is really interesting. Now, of course, as a result of this, it's not like it's done that much when it comes to Zebec, but what I'm caring about is not what could it do in a week or 2 weeks, because I feel like it's kind of that snowball effect. When a project continues to build, continues to do things, it eventually prepares for it later on if the market sentiment were to change. Now, the keyword is if. It doesn't mean it would or it could, but that's the key word right there. So when I take a look at ZBCN as of right now, people like to tell me that the price charts are being so bad. Yes, I agree with that in a literal sense where, of course, it's had a major pullback. But at the same time, a bunch of projects are having a pullback. To me, this is not anything necessarily so, I guess, isolated to only just ZBCN. A bunch of projects are having a pullback, generally speaking. So at a time like this, of course, I want to be focusing on the ones that actually have the fundamentals and the ones that are actually improving, which I do believe that Zebec is, personally in my mind, even though I can't speak on anyone's behalf. I don't only just hold ZBCN, but I'm just saying, from what I can see, I still like the strides they're making, fundamentally speaking. And keep in mind as well, when it comes to Zebec, people like to say, well, the ride is over. But to me, I don't really think about it that way, because when I take a look at ZBCN as of right now, the market cap is almost 250 million. When I first believed in ZBCN, market cap was below 100 million. So yes, there's been a big pullback, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's still at least doing a lot better than before. It was a lot harder for me to believe in Zebec back then, keep in mind, because there was really nothing I could look back at and say, oh wow, ZBCN became so popular at a certain point. There was really none of that I could take a look back to, I would say, in recent times when I first believed in ZBCN. Market cap was way lower than right now. Fundamentally, it didn't even really have that much going on. I mean this in a very, I think, cool way though, because if we take a look at it, for instance, when I first believed in ZBCN, there was no such thing as ISO 20022 compliance when it comes to Zebec. I didn't see anything about an Algorand partnership. I didn't see all this. I didn't see what Zebec did with World Liberty at that time. So again, at that time, it was way harder for me to believe in ZBCN. And as of right now, ZBCN is way higher in terms of market cap when compared to before. I feel like fundamentally it's improved by quite a lot. And if I take a look at that right there, how is it cooked? How is it done for? In my opinion, at least personally, my perspective, not only has ZBCN went on a little bit of a journey ever since I believed in it, despite the pullback, but still, I think most importantly, the fundamentals did improve. So when I take a look at this right here, I feel like the project really, if I take a look at it strictly from a kind of popularity standpoint, it just really became popular kind of last year, basically, in my opinion. It's not like the last time it was popular was 7 years ago or whatever. It wasn't anything like that, right? Even though this is a pure hypothetical, but I'm saying ZBCN just primarily became popular last year. It's like me going to a movie and it's like the first 10 minutes. It's like the movie just started. I haven't even seen the middle and the end yet when it comes to the movie. So how can I really evaluate the movie fully if I haven't watched it in its entirety? I feel like sometimes the movie has just started. It's just there's a pullback as of right now. Maybe the lights went on in the movie theater. Maybe there's a problem with the projector. But once they fix all that, the movie goes on. That's the way to take a look at it. Sometimes there's a market downturn, but what happens if hypothetically the market maybe recovers? But I'll be here waiting anyways. I'll wait and see what happens. Even though, again, I am not telling anyone to do anything. Now, personally for me, Zebec is not going to represent the coolest or most interesting project out there, but it doesn't really matter in my perspective because when I believed in Zebec initially, I already knew that it had kind of this niche sort of vibe. It was focused on global trade and finance, of course, primarily speaking, but it wasn't really like so mainstream yet, of course, back then. As of right now, I don't think it is really so mainstream yet either, but it's a little bit more mainstream than back then. And especially in 2025, it kind of became a little bit more mainstream. However, even besides that point, if I take a look at that right there, Zebec is just a little bit more of a kind of niche project that's focused on global trade and finance. It's somewhat of a quote unquote miniature version that people sometimes like to put an analogy for in terms of comparing it to like Ripple and Stellar, but again, just being way smaller. But I kind of like that vibe right there. I'm not necessarily into projects that have such a massive market cap, but I'm not really into micro caps either. I sometimes look for kind of a middle ground approach where the market cap isn't way too massive, but it's not too small either. And once I find a project that I'm a fan of fundamentally, and if I like the team, if I like what the project is trying to do, what I do is I just dollar cost average once a month and I just basically see what happens. That's it. Do I know how long I'm going to have to hold? No, there's no way I can know that. But one thing I do know though is that I'm prepared to wait for hypothetically quite a while. I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait, but in the beginning, I knew I was probably going to have to wait for quite a while. So if I have to wait for quite a while and I felt like I might have to do that in the first place anyways, why would I complain? The only reason why I would ever complain is because if, let's say, in a random hypothetical, I wanted things to happen, like let's say in a week or 2 weeks or in a couple months, and then it doesn't, then of course the expectations are going to be different than the reality in this case, if that is what I'm looking for. But that's not what I'm looking for. I already knew that I was probably going to have to wait for quite a while. So especially in a space like this where movements sometimes they could just kind of hover around certain ranges for quite a while, I'm prepared to wait. But nonetheless, I still have to live my life regardless whether I'm holding or I'm not. Like I'm gonna have to still brush my teeth, take a shower, go out and hang out with my friends, exercise. I'm still gonna have to do all that whether I'm holding or I'm not. So personally for me, I sometimes just like to hold. That's it, because it's kind of like an accessory to my life, in my opinion, even though I don't have to, but it's just kind of something that happens as a background activity as I continue to do my life. That's it. I mean, again, I could not hold and not care, but whether I'm holding or I'm not, the market is going to do its thing with or without me. So I just like to stay holding. That's my point of view, even though I am not, again, telling anyone to do anything clearly. However, at the same time, when I take a look at Zebec, I think the super app was such a good step in the right direction. Now, it just has to hypothetically wait for the missing ingredient, right? Maybe a hypothetical altcoin season. The fundamentals are already there. It's just the sentiment hasn't changed. So if a project's biggest concern is the sentiment changing and the fundamentals are already kind of done, that's the least of the concerns, right? Because the sentiment, a change sometimes happens very randomly. We just sometimes don't really know exactly when that could happen. But if the fundamentals are already there, again, if the fundamentals already exist in a pretty good way, now it's just waiting for that time. It's already prepared anyways because the fundamentals are already in place. It's just the sentiment. That's the missing ingredient. Now, if the missing ingredient was the fundamentals, then okay, maybe the project might be a little bit cooked because if the sentiment were to come back, maybe the fundamentals aren't the best yet. It could maybe sometimes just again, kind of get forgotten about. But I'll be sure to make more updated videos when it comes to Zebec moving forward, so hopefully y'all stay tuned for that. I just want to say, it's been Lee the Captain. Thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I'm out. Peace. Bye.